Welcome to FedScoop TV. I'm Wyatt Cash, and we're here today at the Public Sector Innovation Summit. And my guest today is Paul Krein, who's the Chief Technology Officer for Red River. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Great. We're talking about innovation, and it's a topic that begins to mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Let's start by getting your sense for how do you define innovation?
Well, I look at innovation as the way that people can take ideas, maybe practical ideas or new ideas, but apply them to new problems. So it's not always reinventing the concept, but it's saying this worked really well last time. How do we adjust it? Or this concept worked over last year on a completely different problem. What if we took it? And we see that in analytics, we see that in science, but we also see that in management. So we can see that across how we take technology, but also people and process and reapply it.
Great. I'd like to get your thoughts as well on cloud and mobility. How do you see them continuing to drive efficiency, effectiveness, and savings for agencies?
Well, mobility allows us to bring the information and the insights to the person in the situation they're in to make much better decisions at the time. So it allows us to do that, but to feed that, we really need more information and really not just more data, but the right information, the right presentation model, and that takes a lot more computing power and a little bit more agility, and that's where cloud comes to play. It allows agencies to share data, mash up data, but do it in, I'll say, more real time for the systems that used to take months or years to develop a new system, and now we can spin something up in hours. And from that, we can take in new data sources, update that, and then again, deliver it at scale now out to those mobile devices or the people that are in the back room generating the analysis.
Great. Let's talk a little about also, do these new modernized technologies make it so agency enterprises can also be more secure, or is security more difficult as we add these new and more sophisticated inputs into the agency's IT architecture?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. So modernizing it is a must. Most of the applications we had in what we call the legacy applications today were really developed 15, 20 years ago. Their architectures were developed a long time ago before we had a lot of the threats that we have today. We didn't have such global access to everything, and we didn't have it with such broad connectivity and bandwidth such that you now have new actors that have computing power like never before. So the modernization is required for twofold. One is we need to develop new architectures with security built in up front, not a bolt-on after the fact. And second of all, we have to think about what's the security factor that enables the users we want to enable, rather than just to keep out the bad actors like we used to. We used to worry about the perimeter. Now we need to think about the data. So security is now all about the data and the movement of data, the flow of data, and the users, the right users, getting to that data securely without everybody else touching on it. And so the modernization we're seeing is not only the new architectures, but building in indicators and threat detectors, looking at insider threat, looking at the right user behaviors. And I'm starting to look at things like, how do we do augmented cyber reality, which is, we have this great capacity now with cloud computing. How do we then take that to start to process the behavior patterns, the usage, the flow of data in and out of the organization or an agency, and present that to the analyst to say, well, Paul's been working these hours. All of a sudden, off hours, we're seeing some data flow, and it's from a project that he's no longer on. That would be a great indicator to pop up to the analyst right away and say, you need to prioritize looking at this and not something else. That would be a new way to modernize. And the tools are there today. It's just a matter of the agency stitching them together and augmenting the analysts rather than trying to scale out the people, because that's really our challenge.
That's a great example. Well, Paul, lastly, let's talk a little bit about what we can expect next as agencies modernize their infrastructures. What do you see on the horizon?
So we see definitely new architectures and a building block approach. It's been the last few years trying to get folks to understand it's all about services thinking, not server thinking. And what are the services we can do and deliver, but rather the other way around, what are the services they should expect to already be in place? So 100 years ago, people had to generate their own electricity for their own manufacturing plant. Today, we just flip a switch. Well, it's a little bit further than that. People will now manage the power for us. So when we look at a data center, and from IT perspective, we should expect that a lot of the foundational services we used to have to build are already available to us. And now we're building with new building blocks that allow us just to focus on the workflow and the citizen experience and citizen engagement rather than reinventing the 80% of IT that we used to have to manage. It will also allow agencies to take a lot of their O&M spend and move it towards the innovation side. And this is where the balance for agencies has to come in. Innovation isn't something you mandate. It's not something that you can take a single organization and say, you're now the innovation group. Because most of the ideas come from other people having the opportunity to look at a problem and go, oh, I have another way of solving that. And we'll see that now for the modernization for agencies, where they can say, these are the building blocks I have, these are the services I should expect. Now let me stitch them together in a way that allows for the agility and the speed of what the mission is today to deliver.
Well, Paul, thank you for sharing some of your insights with us and for stopping by today. I appreciate it.
Very good, thank you.
Terrific. Look for more of our coverage on innovation and technology at FedScoop TV. I'm Wyatt Cash. Thanks for watching.